Hello, my name's Alan Barnett and I'm Chairman of City Voices Creative Writers Group. I am here at Holy Trinity Church in Hamel Road in Burslem, where we are filming Heroes of Sneyd, a folk play depicting the vigil following the Sneyd Pit Disaster of 1942, when 57 men and boys lost their lives. We hope that this play, written and produced by our founder member Paul Williamson, does justice to the memory of all those who perished.
There'll be bluebirds over the white cliffs of Dover. Tomorrow, just you wait and see.
New Year's Eve, 1941. It was New Year's Eve, not a great time for celebration for the people of Burslem, not a great time for celebration for the people who lived in the other 5 towns that made up the city of Stoke-on-Trent. It was wartime. Britain had declared war on Germany in September 1939, and many of the male population had been conscripted into the armed forces. Food rationing was in force, so was the blackout. No lights from anywhere were allowed to be seen from the outside, from soon after dusk until well after dawn. Houses, shops, pubs, factories, street lighting were all included. This was done as a precautionary measure against the German bombing raids, to make it less easy for the German bombers to find their targets. With many of the potteries men having become soldiers, lots of mothers were left to look after their children on their own, as well as having to work long hours on pot banks and the munition factories at Swinnerton and Radway Green. The men who worked in the coal mines were exempted from being conscripted into the armed forces unless they were reservists, because coal production was considered vital to the nation in time of war. New Year's Day, 1942. New Year's Eve came and went. A few pints of beer at the local pub, and in many homes at midnight, the traditional opening of the back door to let the old year out, and the opening of the front door to let the new year in. Now, in the early morning of New Year's Day, miners were preparing for the day shift at Sneyd Colliery. Having said their goodbyes to their wives or sweethearts, mothers and fathers, they were out in the cold morning air. Some of them were already standing at the pit bank, waiting for the first cage to lower them into the deep mine. Young lads with sleep still in their eyes were hurrying through the gates at the top of Hot Lane, hoping that they wouldn't be reprimanded for being late. At number 4 pit, men and a few lads were getting into the cage, having had their pockets searched for cigarettes and matches. Snapping was tucked up inside jumpers or shirts, some just inside jacket pockets. Water bottles hung from shoulders, on slings made of string, or tied onto belts that went around the waist. There was laughter and joking as the cage began to fill up, and the men began to get squashed together. "Shall we all pretend we're sardines in a can?" somebody said. "Nay, the way this cage smells, more likely to be a can of old maggots." This made for more laughter.
Every day, working in dangerous places, with dust in our lungs and scars on our faces, digging for coal, so the home fires can glow, man as we are, working deep down below. Coal for our trains, coal for our gas, coal for our homes, and coal for our people of England. For comradeship and humour, we are number 1, with laughter, jokes and lots of fun. As soon as work's begun, long hours we sweat for little pay, to earn our daily bread, the simple things we treasure most, our loved ones home in bed. Every day, working in dangerous places, with dust in our lungs and scars on our faces. Coal for trains, coal for ships, coal for industry, coal for our gas, and coal for our homes, and a coal for the people of England.
The cage was full now, and the safety gate was closed. The onsetter knocked out the signal. The winding engine man heard the bell sound in the winding room, and the cage began to drop down the shaft. Soon all the men would be at their workplaces, and coal production would begin. Now this is where our story changes to tragedy. For at 7:50 a.m., down in the Banbury seam of number 4 pit, there was a terrible explosion. Men and boys working in the area were caught in the blast and suffered death and serious injury. Ernest Stone of Burslem was in charge of the telephone near the pit bottom. Luckily for him, he'd been in a sheltered position when the explosion occurred and had escaped the full force of the blast. Although he suffered great shock and was in a dazed state, he managed to telephone the service to raise the alarm. From that moment, the story becomes one of great heartache and courage, and as the events unfold, we see the human spirit struggling to overcome extreme distress and adversity.
On New Year's Day in 1942, there was an explosion at Sneyd Colliery. Men and boys working down the mine suffered such grave injury. Rescue teams from Sneyd assembled with camaraderie, their hearts were full. From nearby pits more valiants came, Hanley, Shelton, Whitfield and Black Bull. It was wartime in England, the nation needed coal. Those men of Sneyd gave everything, working down that deep black hole. Their families gathered at the pit bank, they waited for news night and day. Some of them cried, some of them sighed, and some could only pray. 57 lives were lost. It was a terrible price to pay for working down the coal mine on New Year's Day. It was wartime in England, the nation needed coal. Those men of Sneyd gave everything, working down the deep black hole.
The vigil begins. The dreadful news of the explosion in the Banbury seam of number 4 pit is beginning to spread. Miners' families living close to the colliery are becoming aware of the happening. Neighbours knock on doors to ask for news. People are talking about it in the streets and in the local shops. Anxious relatives have started to make their way to the colliery entrance in Hot Lane. Soon a vigil will begin. As the morning hours pass by, more people will join the vigil. Some of the casualties will soon be brought to the surface.
Come and join the vigil. Let us see. Let's all stand united in will keep the candle burning for the that's caught in the blast. Come and join the vigil. Our ranks are swelling so fast.
I'm waiting for news of my lad, David. He's only 15 and not very big. They say he was caught in the explosion down in Banbury Jig. I got up early with him this morning. I made him a bacon sandwich and a big hot mug of tea. He gave me a kiss before he left the house, and I heard him whistling down the lane. Now I'm here at the vigil, and my heart is full of pain.
Don't fret this end so, Mrs. Biggs. Come and stand by me. I'm waiting for news of my best man, I know. It's our wedding anniversary this Easter. He brought me a cup of tea in bed this morning, and he gave me these flowers. He did them, you know, back of the pantry. He thought I didn't know. The deepest red. Deepest red.
I'm waiting for news of me grandad. Has anyone mentioned his name? Me granny's waiting at home. She's worried to death. It's such a shame. Someone knocked on her door this morn and told her about the explosion at Banbury Seam. I came up as fast as I could. It all seems like a bad dream.
Come on, lad, cheer up. Try and be strong. We'll soon get news. It won't be long.
Look, there's someone coming from... I think it's lads from the Whitfield Colliery. They come to help.
Heroes! And they say Black Bull men are coming as well.
Let's give them a cheer.
I'm singing this song for the rescue men. I want to say thank you. For when everything seems disaster, they bring hope and comfort too. They put their lives in danger, not seeking glory or fame, helping their friends and comrades to come home to us again. I've got a gold ring on my finger. I married a Collier laddie. I've got his grandchild in my arms, and we're waiting for his granddaddy. So I'm singing this song for the rescue men. I want to say thank you.
It is quiet in Hot Lane tonight. It is quiet in Nile Street and Hamel Road. Who would have thought that the new year would bring such quietness? The people of Burslem are staying indoors. A disaster has struck the town. An explosion has happened deep underground. Men and boys are caught up in it. Some have been killed. Some have been seriously injured. The townspeople are in a state of shock. A cold wind blows along High Lane. The medical staff, doctors and nurses at the Hayward Hospital are preparing to receive casualties. Outside the entrance to number 4 pit in Hot Lane, the vigil continues. A clergyman has arrived. He is going to hold a short prayer meeting.
Dear Lord, we ask you now to be amongst us in this hour of need. We ask you to be amongst us at this vigil. We ask you to be amongst our loved ones who are caught up in the explosion down below. We remember the words of Psalm 46. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore we will not fear, even though the earth be removed, though the mountains be carried into the midst of the sea, though its waters roar and be troubled, though the mountains shake in its swelling. So therefore, we are comforted by God. So now we'll sing a hymn O God, our help in ages past.
I'm Mrs. Mary Garside. I live in North Road. Good people, I want to tell you I'm carrying a heavy load. I'm wondering about those collier lads lost deep below the ground, wondering whether they're still alive, wondering whether they'll still be found. I have a candle burning on my hearth, and I'm carrying a piece of bright coal. I pray to God those men and boys are safe. I pray to God they come back whole.
I've been thinking about what tomorrow will bring. Will the news be good or bad? When Tell Current Bun rises up in the morning, shall we be happy or sad? Shall we have strength to comfort one another after another long day? Shall we be like brothers and sisters, helping each other in the Christian way? There's James and Robert Bennett, father and son, working together deep down below. I was sitting against fire last night, wondering, just thinking about them, wondering if they're going to be all right, you know?
Oh, has anyone heard anything about my son? My Johnny?
Who the Johnny brings, is it?
I don't know. Johnny, my son, come home to us, Johnny. You're loving and kind and ever so bonny. Johnny, my Johnny, come home to us, honey. I'm standing here waiting with an ache in my heart. Johnny and Kathleen were married last winter. The chapel bells rang on their wedding day. He gave her a gold ring she wears on her finger. God keep them together forever, I pray. Johnny, my son, come home to us, Johnny. You're loving and kind and ever so bonny. Johnny, my Johnny, come home to us, honey. I'm standing here hoping with an ache in my heart. They were childhood sweetheart, Lock Lane kids. Johnny was her only love right from the start. Sitting on Daisy Bank, always together, lingering down the shady lane, down by the river. Johnny, my son, come home to us, Johnny. You're loving and kind and ever so bonny. Johnny, my Johnny, come home to us, honey. I'm standing here praying with an ache in my heart. Johnny, my son, I'm holding your baby. We love you, dear Johnny, with all of our heart. Johnny, my Johnny, come home to us, honey. I'm standing here waiting. I'm standing here hoping. I'm standing here praying with an ache in my heart.
Oh, look, somebody's coming.
Hang on a minute, I've got some news here. According to this, I've got to let you know the news isn't good. There may have been some fatalities. Right? There's some that's received serious injury. But well, not at the moment, love, not at the moment. We're doing his best. Some have gone David Hospital, be treated.
Any names?
But no, not at the moment, mate. But some are being treated, like I said. But there's no news yet about the man at Bambridge who have been caught in the main explosion. Right? There's a road blockage, and they can't get to them yet, but we're trying to make a clearing. We're hopeful that the men are still alive. All right. Okay.
Haven't you got to them yet?
No, not yet, Father, no. Everything that's been done will be done, I'm sure. The rescue teams in our Sneyd, all the rescue teams in our Sneyd, I'm sure you'll join me in saying how grateful we are for their help.
Definitely.
All right.
Here,
All right.
here.
Let us know when you know more.
I will do.
God's good.
He'll be back soon with some more news.
We hope so.
There'll be some good news in it. There's got to be some good news.
There's something we want to tell you. There's something we want you to know. That deep in our hearts there's a yearning for you lying below. We hope that this message can reach you. We send it to you with great speed. The lights of our love are shining. For you are heroes of Sneyd. Heroes of Sneyd. Heroes of Sneyd. You are our heroes of Sneyd. Heroes of Sneyd. Heroes of Sneyd. The lights of our love are shining. For you are heroes of Sneyd.
I'm an old retired collier, and I have been thinking about those lads below, the heroes of Sneyd. And they are heroes, you know. Those lads were heroes before they got caught in the explosion. They were heroes for just going down the pit, because the danger is always there. Risk of gas explosion and fire, risk of fallen rock and coal, the risk of being trapped under heavy machinery and still gather. I can tell you about the time my working mate was trapped under some rock. It all happened so quickly. We were working closer together, and suddenly I heard the crash and the fallen rocks, part of the roof caved in.
No.
I got to him and saw he was trapped under a rock. I knew that I would have to get him free to do any good. I looked around and found something I could use as a lever. I did manage to get him out from under the rocks. He was badly injured, but at least he was still alive. Right? I shouted at him and just said, go for a second and go and fetch some people and I created the alarm. And that was all I did. And now we are here thinking about those lads down below, the heroes of Sneyd. Yes, every one of them is a hero.
It's bad news for the new year. The explosion at Sneyd. They say men and boys are trapped. What can we kids do about it? Everybody's going to die. We could go around with a collection box, try and raise a bit of money for the miners and all their families. That's a really good idea. Let's get a box and go around houses, shops and pubs and bars and that. Yeah, then we could do a little show in the street in Hot Lane to raise a bit of money. We could dress up and tell the miners digging coal. Let's do it now. Let's make songs and rhymes up. Let's do dances as well. I'll go get my dad's cap and scarf from home. I won't be long. I've thought of a rhyme. Please give a penny for the miners. Please give 2 pence if you can. Let's help the lads who are lost underground, me father and me brother and me Uncle Sam. I thought of one. My daddy works at Sneyd. My daddy's a miner. My daddy's big and strong. I know where they find it. I've got a baby brother and a baby sister. My daddy's lost underground. Can you spare a penny for a mister? Hot lane miners aren't afraid of work. Hot lane miners say never shirk. Hot lane miners steady, brave and strong. Hot lane miners muscles like King Kong. I'm going to marry a hot lane miner. I'm going to be his bonny bride. We'll have lots and lots of children. We'll have a house all nice inside. Hot lane miners have hairs upon the chest. Hot lane miners are the very best. Hot lane miners, strong and brave and true. Hot lane miners, we all love you.
It is now Monday, the 5th of January. 4 days have passed since the disaster has struck. The people at the vigil have kept the candle of hope burning. Families, friends and neighbours have shown their loyalty. The people of the Potteries have made a magnificent response. Messages of goodwill and money for the disaster fund have flooded in. A message of condolence has been received from Buckingham Palace. The brave rescue teams have been working night and day in dangerous and heartbreaking conditions. 52 bodies have been recovered. Only 5 out of the final total of 57 remain unrecovered. The loved ones of the bereaved are being comforted. The people at the vigil have been told the devastating news. They have decided that it is now time to end the vigil. Mr. Cumberbatch, the director and general manager of Sneyd Colliery, has asked the colliers who work in the coal seams that have been unaffected by the explosion to return to work. He reminded everyone of how vital the coal industry was to the war effort. He praised and thanked all the people involved.
Good people, we have decided the time has come to bring the vigil to a close. 4 days have now passed since the terrible explosion down below in the Banbury Jig. Within hours of that dreadful happening, you good people have kept the candle of hope burning. We have given each other comfort and support. We have shared our grief. We have prayed together, sung our songs, and said our poems. Together, it has helped us all to cope with all the worry and anxiety. We now know the final toll of casualties. It is heartbreaking news. Now, however, is the time for rest and recovery. So it is best for us to call it a day. We should feel proud to be here as true friends and brothers and sisters. We all know that our loved ones and comrades whom we have lost would be proud of us being here, thinking of them. Thanks a million, brothers and sisters.
The vigil now is ending. There is nothing more that we can do. We've kept the candles burning with hearts and souls and voices true. But we'll not forget our comrades who died on New Year's Day, and we hope they'll build a memorial in Burslem town someday. So now we're going to leave you, and we wish you all a sad farewell. We'll keep the candle burning and hope that higher times might dwell.
Hero Sneyd, heroes of Sneyd, you are our heroes of Sneyd. Heroes of Sneyd, heroes of Sneyd, the light of our love is shining for you, our heroes of Sneyd.
Epilogue. On a warm sunny day 65 years after that terrible disaster, people gather round a monument in the town of Burslem. It is a special day for the people gathered there because they are friends and relatives of the coal miners who lost their lives on New Year's Day in 1942. This special day in Burslem, the 24th of August 2007, is the day so many people have waited for. It is the unveiling of the monument ceremony. Keith Meeson, chairman of the Apedale Mining Heritage Centre, is here. He has been working hard over the past few years, raising money and being involved in the planning and organising of this memorial. The Lord Mayor of Stoke-on-Trent is here, Councillor Bag Ali. He will cut the ribbon that holds the Union Jack, which is draped over the sandstone monument. A clergyman is here who will give the blessing. A grandson of one of the miners who died in the disaster will lay a wreath of white flowers. Irene Mountford, whose father was brought out of the pit alive, but who died later in hospital, is here. She was only 18 months old at the time of the disaster. Barbara Lima is here. She lost her father in the disaster and is glad that a monument has been built to remember those who lost their lives. Beryl Royal is here. Her father, Albert Ansell, was one of the leaders of the rescue teams. Derek and Brian Hume are here. Derek is the brother of the late Joe Hume. Brian is the son of the late Joe Hume. It was Joe Hume who in 1999 decided that something should be done about getting a memorial for those who lost their lives. He said, "It's 57 years since the disaster, where 57 men and boys were killed. It's time we had a memorial to commemorate this terrible event." Joe Hume commissioned a brass plaque that bore all the names of the men and boys who died. The plaque was given a special place inside Hot Lane Chapel. Later, owing to structural damage to the chapel's roof, a new home for the plaque had to be found. The Methodist Chapel in Hamel Road, Burslem, became the new home for a few years, but owing to the chapel having to close down, another new home had to be found yet again. The plaque can now be seen inside Sneyd Parish Church in Hamel Road, Burslem. Jeff Goodfellow, who provided the sandstone for the memorial, is here. Ivan Ash, director of Nettlebank Memorials of Smallthorne, who donated the marble plaque that bears all of the miners' names, is here. 65 years is a long time to have waited for a fitting tribute to those miners, men and boys who lost their lives. But the fact that now, on this day, a monument has been unveiled in their memory can only affirm that those heroes of Sneyd have not been forgotten. Their sacrifice is still remembered, the memory of them honoured. The candle is still burning.
They built a monument in Burslem town made of the finest stone. It's a fitting tribute to the miners of Sneyd who went to work on New Year's Day in 1942 and never came back home. On that monument in Burslem town, you can read the names of the men and boys who died. Let us always pay homage to their sacrifice and remember them all with pride.